Let's see. And part 3 is upon us. We're going to get through day 3 picks in this one and talk about some division rivals. And yeah, we'll get ready for some preseason football after that, which is coming up, in some training camp battles, which will be shortly after that. So if you
that's a topic I'm looking forward to, training camp battles.
if you are just clicking on this video first, I recommend going back and watching part 1 and part 2, where we covered the Aaron Rodgers trade, some of the off-season free agency moves, and then day 1 and day 2 picks are in part 2. So go back and check those out. In this one, we're going to be covering day 3 picks, starting with our first pick of Colby Wooden. I really don't know too much about Colby. He was one of those.
Bad name, dude. I don't like the name Wooden anywhere in my defensive lineman. I want loose, flexible hips, not wooden.
Oh, well, hopefully he is the opposite of that. I didn't watch too much tape on him. I kind of read a few things here and there on him, but yeah, I just don't know a whole ton about him. I think he's going to be a defensive lineman for us. He's going to be an edge rusher kind of. I know that we some websites have him listed as a linebacker, but I think he'll play on the defensive line for us.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So both Wooden and then later on in the 6th round, I believe, we took Carl Brooks, and both of these guys kind of fit the same mold of they can play defensive line, they can play outside linebacker. Probably better pass rushers than run defenders at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And like honestly, that kind of tracks with Lucas Van Ness as well. So Gutekunst's looking at his history of like when he identifies a need, throwing multiple picks at it. It seems like he's really identified like, oh shit, man, Sedarius isn't on the team anymore. We need this versatile inside outside guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna throw 3 picks at it and hope at least one of them sticks.
Yeah, if anything else, I like to see that we're getting some rotational pieces potentially, and we're just kind of adding. And I mean, we did lose Reed, we did lose Lowry, so you got to keep replacing those players, and taking an early round 4 pick on Colby Wooden. I like some of our later picks that we're gonna get to a little bit more than Colby Wooden, but I got high hopes for him still.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say really for the past decade or maybe even more, we've had pretty darn good luck in the 4th round. We've done pretty good with those picks. So yeah, well, I don't know a ton about Colby Wooden, but I'm going to give that pick the benefit of the doubt, and I kind of expect that he's going to be heavy in the rotation this year.
Mm-hmm. Moving on, we take a quarterback, probably potentially Aaron, or not. It's going to take me a while to get used to saying Jordan Love. Jordan Love's backup, probably, I would assume, right? Sean Clifford, QB out of Penn State. He's an older player, I believe. I believe he's older. I do know that the only thing I really know about him is he was, I think, his sophomore year or something like that. He was benched for Will Levis. And
No. He held off Will Levis for 2 years, and then Levis transferred to a different school.
Okay.
So that is one of the more interesting things about this pick to me, is that so from what I've read is that Sean Clifford, like he has all the leadership intangibles you're looking for. He's played well in big games, ton of experience, supposed to be a very smart guy with good study habits. The real knock against him has been like, oh, he doesn't have an NFL arm. But like they said that about Drew Brees. Tom Brady supposedly didn't have the athletics to, he slipped to the 6th round. Clifford, a lot of people panned the pick. They're like, oh, he wasn't even rated to be drafted. But the guy held off Will Levis for 2 years, and Levis was talked about as a 1st-round pick, ended up going in the 2nd. And I think we specifically looked at his intangibles, and I think we drafted him with the idea of like, you are going to make a perfect backup. Maybe we don't want to rely on you for a full season, but if you have to come in for a few games, like, you can manage the game. And you can also push Jordan Love in maybe a way that he hasn't been pushed before, with just like bringing in that fiery leadership intangibles that, frankly, Aaron Rodgers, he had his very own unique brand of leadership, but I don't think he would call it traditional leadership.
No, I wouldn't call it traditional leadership either. Nope. I mean, I'm excited to see what the kid can do in preseason. And yeah, he's the presumed number 2, I would assume, behind Jordan Love. So
Yeah,
right.
I mean, if it's not Clifford, then we've got Danny Etling, who, he's got some legs on him, but I wouldn't want to see him throwing footballs, really.
Right.
And otherwise, we've got about $4 million to spend.
Let's be
I don't know
honest.
what kind of
If,
veteran backup you're going to get for that.
let's be honest. If Jordan Love gets hurt, I mean, we're fucked. Like, yeah.
If Love gets hurt, we're probably picking number 1 overall.
Yeah. Uh, I moved on to our pick 159. I love this pick. I love this guy when I was watching tape on him. Dante Vian Wicks, wide receiver out of Virginia. I believe he's 6'1". Just watching tape on him, he looked phenomenal. Really glad that we picked him up and we could just add him to this wide receiver room. I think he's gonna definitely fight for a roster spot on the 53. So
Yeah, yeah. He's one of those guys I was talking earlier about. Gutekunst taking guys who had shown elite production in the past and then had a down year. Wicks, he definitely fits that bill, and he kind of has an interesting personal story that I didn't know this until like way after the draft. I don't know. I read it probably a month later or something. Apparently, at his school's his football team, their season was cut short.
after a shooting,
Yeah, there was a
yeah,
shooting. He was on the bus, and 2 of the other wide receivers on the team were killed. So you're talking about people who he likely would have been very close with. Um, and so he kind of dealt with this personal tragedy that, the team decided to cut their year short after this just senseless act of violence.
yeah, they
Um,
canceled the last 2 games, I believe, that year. Yeah,
yeah. So something like that. You got to think that he's bringing a different life perspective and perhaps a different level of maturity than a lot of other rookies. And one interesting connection that I think um, could potentially develop. I mean, I don't want to just say like, oh, tragedy happened, so these 2 should be close. But it is interesting to consider. This person lived through a shooting, and Jordan Love, his father committed suicide when he was a teenager. And you could maybe see that experiencing tragedy at a young age might give those 2 guys a spot to bond in a way that might not happen with the other players.
hmm yeah. I mean, I'm excited to see what the kid can bring to our team. And highlight tape looked real good on it. I mean,
He's a
we'll
big
see.
play guy. He has
Yeah.
high average yards per catch.
hmm Yeah, I'm excited to the room. Well, I guess we'll just move on to another guy I absolutely love. big, strong, powerful, fairly quick too for his size. Carl Brooks, defensive lineman. I think he's going to be more of a defensive tackle for us. Out of Bowling Green. I did get a chance to watch some highlight tapes on him. I for a 6th round pick, I liked what I saw. So
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, from what I understand,
strong.
obviously he went to a smaller school, not playing the top level of competition, but the competition he did play just absolutely dominated them. Like you're
Yeah.
talking just elite statistics, putting up top quality production, and that excites me. I have high hopes for Carl Brooks.
Yeah, I think as we're getting into these later rounds of the draft, if you just take some time to watch some of the highlight tapes and just like look at some of their strengths and stuff, a lot of these guys pop. I mean, the small school things is some of the reasons why they slip or some off the field things sometimes, but like you can't help but get a little excited watching a few of these picks on some of these later round guys. And yeah, if Carl Brooks can put it together, and I mean, yeah, he could be a playmaker. All you have to do is look at who's the Rams receiver there, the prolific receiver there.
Cooper Cup.
Cooper Cup went to a really small school, and that's why he kind of fell in the draft. And now look at him. Like
Yeah,
it's not
and
an
that's the
issue for
thing.
him.
Like, going to a small school doesn't mean you're not going to be a good player. You might take a little bit longer to develop
Hmm.
because you kind of got to get up to the pro game speed and develop some more technique that you might not have gotten from lower level coaches. But potential's there, and you're looking at a 6th round pick. Um, yeah, like if he takes 3 years to develop, like whatever, that's if he turns into a regular starter for us, that's a
Hmm.
good pick.
And
And I think he's going to have opportunity this year. Um, probably not a ton, but I could absolutely see him playing 15-20% of defensive snaps.
oh yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, I love this pick. I think for a flyer on around 6, I don't think you could have gone with a better option for with like what was on the board. So yeah. And we take our Mason Crosby replacement and Anders Carlson. So interesting. I was looking at his field goal percentage and it was like 72% in college. And then you're like, oof, 72% in college, and you're gonna come up here to the pros and expect it to get better. But I I know that one of it, he had an injury one year and that kind of
Yeah.
like caused his percentage to go down. But like if you look at his freshman year, he was pretty high. It was his best field goal percentage year when he was healthy. And he should be over that injury now. And yeah, we got our kicker, I guess, of the potential future, and to see we'll see what happens. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean that, like you were saying, like the freshman year, I believe his field goal percentage was over 90%, and he
mhm,
had an injury, that the assumption is the injury lingered longer than expected, and that he played through it because yeah, like 70% not a good field goal rate. But his older brother Daniel Carlson plays for the Raiders.
mhm,
He has had at least one all pro season in his career. Uh, Rich Bisaccia, our special teams coach, directly worked with Daniel Carlson and personally knows Anders. Like he's worked with him, not at the NFL level, but he's done coaching work with him. And this pick was personally endorsed by Bisaccia.
yeah, he was
Um,
stoked about it.
so I mean, considering the kicker that everyone talked about in this draft, Jake Moody, he went in the fucking 3rd round to the
Yeah,
Niners. Um, I'm fine taking a chance on Carlson in the 6th, and like maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. Like it's hard to say like, oh yeah, he's going to be the next Mason Crosby, because frankly, Mason Crosby, I would say he's probably a Hall of Fame level kicker, man.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't
we'll
think a
see.
team's.
You got to move on from Crosby eventually, and he was just losing so much leg strength. You may as well do it now with the youth movement.
I don't think Crosby's signed with anyone either. I think he's a free agent still.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. And I mean, I could see if Carlson's just fucking bombs the preseason. I could see that maybe there's a handshake deal right now with Crosby where it's like, yeah, we'll bring you back if things are going very poorly.
Yeah.
Where Crosby, like he's been in Green Bay his entire career, he might not want to move his family somewhere else. So it might be like he's okay retiring unless Green Bay throws him an offer.
I did read that they just put their house up for sale, I believe. So.
Oh, all right. Well, maybe he's gone then.
Yeah, his like.
Dude, I mean,
Florida
frankly,
or something
dude,
like
Crosby. If I were Crosby, I would take the Vinatieri approach. Go play for a dome team. You probably extend your career another 5 years.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, that's where I learned it from. So Jonathan Owens, the safety we signed from Houston, his girlfriend is Simone Biles, if you know who
Yeah.
she is, the Olympic gymnast. So yeah, Simone Biles like reached out to like Mason Crosby's wife or something like that, asking for like I don't know, like places to go in Green Bay or something like that. And yeah.
Did Mason's wife mention the Butterburgers at what was that place?
Kroll's.
Kroll's
Yeah.
Butterburgers.
Kroll's. She really didn't throw like any like suggestions. She just said that you're absolutely gonna love it in Green Bay, and she's really sorry that they're not gonna be around to like hang out, like because like like Mason's not coming back or something like that. But yeah, like that's how I kind of learned about all that. So yeah, small world. Um, you're gonna have to carry me on this one. I did not look up anything on Carrington Valentine. I just not someone I really looked into. What can you tell me about him?
I couldn't tell you shit about him,
All
man.
right. Well, he's a seventh round corner from Kentucky. Hopefully, you put a chip on your shoulder, young man, that we don't know a single thing about you, and you just turn into Jair Alexander Good for us in the year.
Hey, man, we got a good history of undrafted corners when you're looking
Yeah.
at Tremont Williams and Sam Shields.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe 7th round, maybe we'll strike gold there.
He's a death piece for sure. Lou Nichols, I do know a little bit about. Surprised he kind of fell to the seventh round. Just another pair of fresh legs to throw into the running back stable, and yeah, I don't hate it.
Honestly, I was surprised we didn't take a running back sooner, given the fact that Aaron Jones' contract next year, we probably not going to be able to keep him. And then AJ Dillon, his contract is up. So, like, are we going to resign him? Depends how much money he's going to want. I expected us to take a running back sooner.
Mm-hmm.
But Lou Nichols had a lot of college production. His main competition is, the past couple years, Patrick Taylor has been our number 3. His calling card is he's a pretty good pass blocker. Nothing special as a runner or receiver. Tyler Goodson's the other guy. He has shown some juice as a runner and receiver. Not very good as a pass blocker though. Lou Nichols, I don't know, man. I haven't heard anything about him in OTAs. It'll be interesting when he come on to see how is he going to handle contact? How is he going to handle blocking? He's got an opportunity to be the number 3.
He got hurt halfway through the year last year. He was having a pretty average season last year before he got hurt, but the year before that, he towed the rock 340 times, had over 1,800 rushing yards that year, and had 16 rushing touchdowns. He also caught like 40 passes, I believe, too. So he can catch the ball too. He was a pretty good workworkhorse in 2021.
Yeah, 340 carries. That's a big load
in 13 games too. So yeah, he's 5'10", 220. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that, man. 220. That's a nice thick build.
Yep. You like those thick boys, dude.
What can I say?
Moving on to just, I can't believe he was sitting on the board in round 7. I love this pick. Anthony Johnson Jr., safety of Iowa State. I mean, there were some guys saying that he was going to be a day 2 pick.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
there he is at the, back end of the 7th round. He's almost an undrafted free agent. Um, I personally liked I liked Anthony Johnson, but I liked the other safety at Iowa State a little bit more when I was looking at him. His name slipped my mind. So obviously I probably didn't like him that much if I can't remember his name, but Anthony Johnson Jr.
Was it the white guy?
Yeah, I think so. But Johnson was, he popped on tape too. So I'm all for this pick. Awesome
Yeah,
pick.
no, dude, honestly, I was thrilled with this pick. When I was doing my draft research in a relatively weak safety class, Johnson is a guy who he started his career as a corner, and then just transitioned to safety last year, and he had a very solid campaign. So he's got like the corner speed and agility, but he's a very willing, violent tackler. He's got all the intangibles. It's just he hasn't had a ton of experience at safety yet. Um, I love the pick. I would not surprise me to see this guy starting for us next year. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but I think you get
Yeah,
him a little bit of schooling in an NFL
bas-
program,
basically
he
a
could be a
redshirt year
nice
for
thing.
him
Yeah.
for us this year. Yeah, I'm all for it. Potential maybe Darnell Savage replacement or something like that next year too, because he's probably on his last year unless he balls out and earns himself a new contract, which we'll see. But yeah, love this pick, and I mean, I didn't think too much of our next pick, but OTAs. This guy was kind of the darling of OTAs. Was Grant Dubose. I'm not sure if you read anything about him, but he's turning heads left and right in
I
OTAs. Like he was like the standout guy, just making plays all over
I
the place.
I was under the impression that Grant DeBose has been injured throughout OTAs and has not been able to participate.
Mm,
I was reading a lot of like kind of the darling of OTAs being Malik Heath, an undrafted free agent.
Was it? Maybe I got my guy around then. Uh, who was it then? I just, you know what? Just ignore everything I said. Yeah, he was injured. Who was it? So I just got him completely confused with
I,
another receiver then.
I think it's Malik Heath,
Okay.
um, who actually went to the same school as Jonathan Mingo and put up better stats than him, but just didn't test that well at the combine. But it could be one of those stories of a guy who he's not the biggest or fastest or strongest, but he just gets open.
Hmm.
But I do think it's worth. I mean, I don't know any more about Heath than that. Uh, Other than he's got good size and speed. I do think it's worth talking about DeBose. He's also like a size speed specimen who, from what I understand, in college he was kind of a big play guy. Is that right?
I do, but yeah, he's 6'2", 201. Um, yeah, he was like a deep threat kind of for Charlotte there. He made some pretty nice nice contested catches that were deep too. So it's kind of his bread and butter there. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad guy. Just add to the. I mean, we are completely rebuilding the entire wide receiver room. Watson and Dobbs are the most experienced receivers, and
They
Samari are the
haven't
most
even
experienced
started a whole
receivers.
season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is no veterans in that, which I don't love that, but like they're the vets in that room.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, it's definitely between the wide receivers and the tight end. Honestly, I'm really surprised we haven't brought back Mercedes Lewis just so we have like one veteran receiver on the roster. Um,
He
But yeah,
still wanted to
it's
play another like
essentially
2 years.
we're just rolling with all young guys, and we're just gonna let them grow. It Man, it's gonna be an interesting season
Yeah,
because like no one can really predict what's gonna happen. Like these guys could come in and like they have the physical talent, like they could ball out, and we could be an explosive top 10 offense, or they could super struggle and we could be looking at, like the 25th offense in the league or something. Like no one really has an idea. Like our passing game is a complete question mark.
hmm yeah. There's it really is. I mean, Watson flashed at times last year and Dobbs flashed at times, but like consistency is key in the NFL. Like, who's gonna be the one guy that's gonna step up and be consistent? We might not have. There might be a different leading receiver every week. There might not be a guy who's just like a go-to guy. We're probably just gonna spread the ball around, play system football, and just like have Jordan Love go through his progressions and make high percentage throws. Like that's just kind of what that system's predicated on. I think even Rodgers said that in an interview on like McAfee one time. Like the LaFleur system's predicated on high completion percentage throws to like statistically just keep the ball moving down the field, mathematically speaking. So it's a different guy on each play. So yeah,
Yeah, dude, and it's exciting when you look at the speed of all of these young guys. Christian Watson has already proven that you get him the ball on a slant, he can take it to the house. Um, I was talking about Jaden Reed earlier, kind of showing that same potential.
mhm.
Um, you know, some guys we haven't even talked about, like Bo Mountain. We took him. He was, I believe, a fifth round pick by the Seahawks last year, and they waived him in training camp, and we picked him up. He's a 4-3 guy, and he's not a small 4-3 guy. Like he's short, but he actually has a stocky build.
Mhm.
Um, like we have a ton of very fast young guys on the team where like if you get the ball in their hands, it could be a big play. Um, Obviously Musgrave, Kraft. Man, it's just I can't think of a season like this in my lifetime where it is just a legit total question mark. It's not like, oh, we're gonna be bad and I'm hoping we're good. It's I don't know. We could be great, we could be terrible.
I think, or we could be bad early on and then get good towards the end of the year, or have show flashes. We could have a really good game and then struggle the next, and it's gonna be a wild season for sure.
Well, so I know we're running a little short on time, and we just wrapped up the draft picks. Uh, do we want to, maybe we'll skip training camp battles tonight and just jump to kind of around the NFC North, comparing our offseason, like what the
Sure,
rosters are looking like.
sure. We'll just kind of go. So I'll just take a look at ESPN's here and seeing what they preliminary, like this is unofficial. Training camp hasn't even started yet, but we're looking at Jordan Love as our starting quarterback, Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, Watson, Dobbs, and Jane Reed are gonna be listed as our starting receivers, which I probably all agree with that one. Except for maybe Samari kind of starting off there instead of Jane Reed, but I could see Reed maybe if he picks it up starting. Luke Musgrave is listed as the starter, but I mean it could be a combination there. Uh, Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins listed on the left side, Josh Myers in the middle, Runyon and Nijman on the right side. I, I we've had this conversation before. I think you gotta find a way to get Zach Tom into there. But oh, all right, we got 10 minutes to get through this. And then on, oh, did I just delete the Green Bay one? No, I'm on. Okay, then we got Clark, TJ Slayton listed as a starter, Devontae Wyatt. He's got to have a good season this year. Preston Smith, Campbell, Quay Walker, Rashawn Gary for now, or when he comes back, Jair Alexander. They have Jonathan Owens listed as the starting safety there, but that's a true training camp battle. Then Savage, Rasul Douglas, and then yeah, they do have Jaden Reed listed as the punt returner. But yeah, that's our lineup.
All right, so I want you to make note of this right now. I don't know, write it down somewhere, because so I went through the whole NFC North and kind of I took personal notes on each position group for each team, including depth. And I kind of think maybe the best way to look at the division right now is if we look at how many position groups on each team have Pro Bowl or All Pro potential. And when I look at the Packers right now, realistically speaking, I expect our running backs group to be elite, like top of the league level. I expect our offensive tackles to be Pro Bowl level. I expect our guards to have Pro Bowl potential. You know, certainly Jenkins, and then a battle between Runyon and Tom. You know, I think cumulatively we can have a Pro Bowl level play there. So on offense right now we're at 1, 2, 3 position groups that, you know, have that Pro Bowl potential. Then you go to defense. Frankly, I think our inside linebackers have all pro potential. You know, I think Walker could take a huge step, and Campbell has already played at an all pro level. I think our outside linebackers have all pro potential between Gary, Smith, Van Ness, Enigbare, Hollins, Cox. Like, we're super deep there. I think that outside linebacker might be the best position on the team right now. Our corners, I think we got Pro Bowl potential there between Alexander, Douglas, and Stokes, and Nixon. And then also Nixon is an all-pro returner. So between, you know, we've got the 3 groups on offense, and then defense we got 1, 2, 3, and then special teams we've got 1. That's 7, you know, potential difference making units on this team.
Yeah, I just wrote down 7. So they just got to put it together. The defense was pretty inconsistent at times last year, but the talent's there. They just got to keep playing together and put it all together. We'll move on.
Yeah, and honestly, I think our defense is really going to hinge on, you know, I know people get hung up on our safeties that, like, yeah, they're not great, but I think they could be solid. To me, the bigger concern is defensive line. We're relying on a lot of young guys. If Wyatt steps up and grows, we could actually be pretty good on the defensive line with Clark and Wyatt, and then Slayton and other guys rotating in. If Wyatt doesn't grow and Slayton doesn't grow, we're just going to be looking at more of the past decade of Kenny Clark and no one else.
All right. Just for the sake of time, got 5.5 minutes before it gives us the boot here. Minnesota. We got Kirk Cousins. Alexander Madison is the new running back there. We got the all-world receiver in Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison and KJ Osborne are the receivers. TJ Hawkinson. Let's see, Christian Darrisaw, Ezra Cleveland, Garrett Bradbury, Ed Ingram, and Brian O'Neill round out the offensive line. On defense, they got Dean Lowry listed as a starter. Kyrus Tonga, Harrison Phillips. On the D-line, Danielle Hunter, Brian Asamoah II, Jordan Hicks, Marcus Davenport, the new edge rusher from Saints, came over. And he comes, out goes
Za'Darius.
Za'Darius is gone. Let's see, at corner, they got Andrew Booth Jr., Harrison Smith, Cameron Bynum, and Byron Murphy. And then, yeah, their special teams. So, yeah, I mean,
Uh,
Minnesota's got an okay team, but they don't, like strike fear into me or anything. But
Yeah, I mean, I'll just, I won't go through each position group, but I'll just give you my overall impression of Minnesota. I think they're top heavy. They do have some
Mhm.
star power, but I think they have just absolutely no depth. And I think they're essentially, especially since they released Delvin Cook, they're they're building the Rodgers to Adams approach, but using Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. I don't think it's going to be as good as Rodgers to Adams ever was. I think their defense is going to be very weak. And if any of their star players like starts to show age or has an injury, like dude, like if Justin Jefferson got hurt, they're fucked.
Yeah,
I just think the Vikings they're ready to fall off a cliff. It's only a
they
matter of time.
there's a reason I put them second. I think they finished last in the division potentially.
Oh, that's a
Potentially.
spicy take, but we don't have the
Pot-
time to talk about it.
Potentially. All right, moving on to the Lions. We got Goff returning as the quarterback. They have so many running backs. They have David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs, who they took in the first round. Surprise. Amon-Ra St. Brown is back along with Jameson Williams and Marvin Jones Jr. as the receivers. Brock Wright's the tight ends. Decker, Jackson Ragnall, Valletta, Penei Sewell. They got pretty good offensive line. Their defense is keeps getting better and better. Aiden Hutchinson, McNeil, Bugs, James Houston, Jack Campbell, the rookie that they took high, Alex Anzalone, Malcolm Rodriguez, Cameron Sutton, Kirby Joseph, Tracy Walker, and Emmanuel Mosley. And they continue to just kind of build. And they were a good team last year. They got better as the season went on. I think they just keep getting better. So
Yeah. I mean, my overall read on them, and I do want to make one specific note on. You mentioned Jameer Gibbs, their first overall pick. Um, I honestly think he could have an Alvin Kamara like impact. I think that will be a good pick for them. But even having said that, I think they have a very tough team that's built in the trenches. Um, but they just lack superstars. Like
Mhm.
they have good players throughout, but
they're meant to they're meant to play as a team, like a
Yeah, like Jared Goff is probably going to regress. Jameson Williams is suspended for 6 games. I don't know. I just look at this as a team that, like, if they sustain an injury to like one of their best players, I don't know that they have the star power anywhere else to overcome it. I frankly, they were a feel good story last year. It would not surprise me to see them step back this year.
I'm just doing this for sake of time. We have a minute and 15 to go through the Bears.
Yeah, the
Bears
Bears,
suck.
they suck.
Yeah, Bears suck. They got Fields, yeah, Fields, Mooney. They do got DJ Moore now though. They got Mooney, Claypool, and Moore. The receivers are actually kind of all right.
Yeah. Dude,
Cole Kmet
their
got
offense
better.
is like sneakily could be good. If Fields
Yeah.
takes a step, their offense could be very good.
Their running backs don't, like scare me or anything. Yeah, Donta Foreman Donta Foreman's not gonna be the starter there. Khalil
I
Herbert.
like Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, he could be the starter there. On defense, what do they got on defense?
Nothing. Dude,
Nothing
their defensive line is probably the worst unit in the entire league, and I think that is going to doom them.
for sure. For sure. All right. We got probably like 10 seconds, something like that left. So, in case it kicks us off here soon, it's been real.
Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go. We'll do better next time, guys.
uh,